of Plato's Allegory of the Cave. We read it in school sophomore year, but Talley told me about it long before then. Talley was always telling me things like that, things she thought were interesting or important. Sometimes she'd make up puzzles for me to figure out, or she'd make me play the Imagine If game, which is what I called it when she tried to teach me perspective by telling me stories about people who had it way worse than I did. Like, if I complained about how long a bad cold was lingering, she'd tell me about a book a father had written about his daughter who'd been sick, really sick, for way more than a week or two, and they didn't know if she'd ever get better. Or if I was having a meltdown over the internet acting wonky when my research paper on industrialization after the Civil War was due the next morning, she'd tell me how long Puerto Rico had been without power after Hurricane Maria, and wasn't I so lucky that my biggest problem was a wonky internet? The Plato story was about perspective, too. Here's how it went. A prisoner lived in a cave, and all he'd ever seen were shadows of things, not the things themselves, so he thought that's all there was to the world. One day he was freed from his shackles. He turned around and saw all the actual things, dwellings and statues and people and animals, along with the fire that had cast the shadows of them. Then he got out of the cave and there was more to see. It went on and on. Why did this remind me of Talley? I mean, aside from the obvious reason that she was the one to tell me about it in the first place. Because that's what it was like to be around her. She helped people see beyond their own limited perspectives. She made things appear bigger and brighter than they were before. Don't think my sister was oblivious to her own charm, because she wasn't. She never danced like no one was watching. She danced like everyone was. It was like she went through life pretending she was the star of a show, the Talley Show, as if you'd bought a ticket to see her and she didn't want to disappoint. Often she let me be part of the act. Sloane, today we're going to go to McDonald's and you have to order in a British accent. Will you be in a parade with me, Sloaners? I just decided to be a model, and I need someone to take my headshots. Even for all her doom and gloom Imagine If stories, I'd never met anyone who could enjoy life more than my sister could. She could get positively giddy about things, and it was catching. I'd find myself practically breathless, saying, "Sure, Talley, of course, Talley. Let me help you, Talley." As we grew up, we grew apart in some ways. There was the geographical apartness. Talley was 5 years older, and she'd graduated high school. She moved out even though she didn't go to college. And while she was living back home the last month of her life, she was still gone for the bulk of my high school years. And then there was the emotional apartness, the kind that you can't measure in physical distance, which means it's hard to measure at all. While it's happening, it's so gradual you don't even realize it. But then you look back, and you can point to times when you felt closer than you did at the end. The end. My sister's life had an end. I didn't see it coming. It was my fault. I was so unforgivably careless. The day it happened, Thursday, I stayed late at school for orchestra practice. I played the flute. My best friend, Juno, watched us rehearse, which was not something she usually did, but her boyfriend, Cooper, had just officially broken up with her. A couple weeks earlier, he'd said he needed to take a break because he had so much school stuff and track stuff on his plate. "Let's try not texting or talking for 2 weeks, he said. He also told her not to read too much into it the way she usually did. Juno tried not to read too much into it, but over those 14 days, every other sentence out of her mouth was something that had to do with Cooper. I did my best to distract her, and made plans to do things she'd loved to do well before Cooper was in her life. Watching cheesy 80s movies in her basement, mining local thrift stores for secondhand treasures, taking aimless drives in her beloved car, that sort of thing. Still, she was always bringing Cooper into whatever activity we were doing. Cooper loved Ferris Bueller's Day Off. That shirt would look perfect on Cooper. She'd once driven down this same road with Cooper. I think you should focus on the things about him that were sucky.